Hey everybody, welcome back. Thank you so much for tuning in. And in this episode, I'm going to show you guys how to remove the mounting bracket on a 2007 Audi S8. This will apply to probably all of the Volkswagen as well as Audi products that you guys may have in your garage. And this is a used item, of course. I'm going to refresh it. I'm going to sand it down, paint it a different color and everything. So first things first is I got to get this mounting bracket off of the caliper. Okay, so I'll put another video together to show you how to remove the caliper from the car. But if you have the caliper in front of us, we're just going to turn it so that way we can see the inside of the caliper. Okay, so where all of the brake lines are. All right, so what you want to look for are two rubber boots like this. Okay, this is going to house the guide pins that are now attached to the bracket. Okay, so what we're going to need is a flathead screwdriver. All right, so let's see if I can get you guys into zoom in just a little bit. Yeah, so like I said, these are the two things that we're going to remove. Okay, so you're just going to take your flathead, wiggle, and then that's going to allow you to remove this rubber cap. Okay, try not to damage it because, you know, knowing Audi or any German vehicles, these caps will probably be $4 for no reason whatsoever. And then we'll work on the other side. Intriguingly enough, I don't know what this silver whitish clip is for. I'm assuming it's for a line of something, maybe the wheel speed sensor or something, but it's tiny, so I don't really know what it is, but I guess we'll figure it out when we get the old one off the car. Okay, so after you've done so, you're going to notice that there are, of course, hex bolts. All right, these are hex heads, so I mean, why would it be anything else? Because once again, it's you know, Audi. I'm just surprised that it's not Torx or a Star or something. Okay, so this is a 7mm, I believe. Yeah, this is a 7mm head. So grab your little ratchet. I'm just using a 1/4" ratchet with my 7mm impact. Okay, but we're not going to do that. We're just going to use by hand. Right, so don't forget lefty loosey. I've already taken the liberty to loosen this up, but believe me, it was fairly tight. I had to use a rubber mallet to kind of break it loose. Okay, so be mindful when you're working near the bleed valve here. Okay, try not to put so much force that your ratchet breaks off or, you know, rounds off that bleed valve. Okay. You can now starting to see the head pop out of the rubber boots. All right, so I always do it in this fashion where I go back and forth between one and the other, rather than just removing one fully, because then the bracket in itself could bind the other one. So I try to remove them kind of as evenly as possible. Okay. There we go, and then you should be able to pull this straight out of the rubber tube there. Okay, so this is your guide pin, and as you can tell, is very, very different than, you know, a lot of the Japanese or American car products that we've seen. It's just a solid piece right here, and clean off the old grease. Okay, so then that way you can kind of see what you're working with, get all that old grease off of it. We'll inspect the body of it after, but like I said, right now you want to get all that old grease off. As you can tell, this is already kind of seized onto the body, but just, you know, my fingernail is scraping it off pretty nicely, so I think I can just take a little wire brush or some really soft sandpaper to get the rest of that off. Okay, so I'm not too concerned. I'll put that aside. Let's finish taking this one off. Alright, I think I broke it free. I think we do. So then you're just going to simply lift this caliper assembly off of your bracket, okay? And it should rotate downward like that, all right? And there you go. It'll drop off, and now you have, I apologize, and now you have the bracket and the caliper assembly in separate pieces, okay? Let me pick this up. Okay, so what fell was this little fancy schmancy little S8 clip. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to sand this down, paint it nice and silver, and I'm going to buy some S8 decal, so then that way I can refresh this and make it look really, really good, okay? But I'm assuming, yeah, this goes just like such. All right, so, and like I said, now that you have these two pieces apart, you can really, really get the caliper bracket right here super nice and clean. You want to clean off all of the rust, you want to clean off all of the dirt and grime and all of the composite material that's there. As you can see, you want to clean all of that off, and in that way, like I said, I can prime it and I can paint it whatever color I want it to be, okay? So, and also you want to make sure that you clean off these mounting holes where your guide pins were just sitting in, okay? So you want to make sure that that's super clean. Let's take off the second guide pin, and this one's actually really, really sticky, so so I'm glad I'm doing this, because let's see if you guys can see that clearly. Let me zoom you out. See that ring? Okay, so this, my friend, is old grease that has basically turned into almost a rubber O-ring. Okay, so this is one of the most important reasons why whenever you're doing your brakes, or every 30,000 miles, you know, you should really just take the time to inspect these guide pins, because this is why you have uneven brake wear. This is why you have, you know, a lot of the braking issues, because your brake pads are not able to glide and slide back and forth evenly and smoothly because of the fact that grease, you know, have hardened, all right? And so you want to make sure that you're inspecting it as often as you can, okay? So, and then same thing as we did to the other one, we're just gonna wipe this one down real quick. Like I said, I just want to make sure that the body of it is in halfway decent condition. If it's not, you know, I wouldn't reuse it. I mean, it might cost you, you know, $8 to $16 or whatever it might be at the dealership, but that peace of mind knowing that, you know, your brake pads that you've just spent $200 on is going to wear evenly, as well as give you the best optimal braking performance, is probably a peace of mind that I would be willing to pay for. So like I said, there's already some grease buildup here. I'm going to take some sandpaper and then just clean that off later, okay? So put that aside, and then same thing here. You want to clean off this rubber boot right here, okay, where the guide pins was just sitting in. So easiest way to do that is just take a rag, thread it in, okay, and we're just gonna now pull, all right? So as you can tell, everything in there is already dried up probably, so yeah, that's pretty good. We'll do the same thing for the other one right over here, okay? So I'm just gonna thread in my little cloth, right? If you need a little resistance, you can always, you know, use a Phillips or a flathead screwdriver, whatever screwdriver you have, to kind of push this cloth along, okay? So we're just going to pull, same thing, like such. I'm going to pull it back, and then there you go, okay? So as you can tell, we got some of the grease out of that rubber fitting, okay? So that's fantastic, that's good. And then, like I said, just do a thorough inspection on the rubber boot just to make sure that it is nice and tight. Okay, so that feels fantastic. That feels really, really good, actually. So I'm going to leave those as is. And once again, this is how you go about removing your front caliper bracket on a D3 S8.